day 4 of revising CPQ with Kushi. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the leftover two topics, which were the block and the percent of total as under the pricing methods. So let's get started. So block is one of the pricing methods which would be used. So consider a situation that your company, it gives cars on rent to corporate companies. Okay. So for example, there is a scenario that for the first car to the 10 cars, you are charging 1 lakh per month as a lump sum, okay, to give them on rent for taking the people from or away to the office, howsoever. So accordingly, and for next 10 cars to 30 cars, basically like from the 11th car to the 30th car, you are charging some 2.5 lakhs per month, something like that is the scenario. And for the cars, if the number of cars are more than 30, then you are charging say 4 lakhs per month. So accordingly this works. So basically what we are doing is we are doing a tire based pricing, okay, where in terms of the quantity, like whether the first to 10 cars were there, then this amount, for the 11 to 30 cars, then this amount. So accordingly we are setting up the prices. Now what will happen, that in this case, if we want to make sure that the pricing method is block, for that particular product, we will be marking, generally by default as we discussed, it will be list, so we need to mark it as block. Now after this, because now we need to create a setup of something of this sort, so we need to create block records on the product. Once you create the block records on the product, so basically you will be adding, like for 1 to 10, this amount from basically you'll write 1 to 11 because the upper bound will minus 1. Okay, so accordingly this work, because lower bound whatever that has, it will be included, upper bound is excluded. Okay, and then you will write the amount. So this is something how it works. But if you notice, so let's go and check out how it exactly looks in the quote line editor. Allow me a minute. So this is usually how it will look like. So this is the quote line editor. In this scenario, what we are doing is, let me go to the corporate car rental. You see this, here we have the block prices, and in these block prices what we are doing is that if the number of cars is between 1 to 11 means minus 1, so 1 to 10 cars ke liye we are charging 1000 rupees, something like that. So when we check the quote line editor, if the number of cars is 10, then this is 1000. But if you will change the number of the quantity to say 15, okay, and then calculate, then if you notice the amount is 2000. So it is working based on the tire. Then comes another concept. I hope we are sorted with the block concept. There is one more concept which is important, which is the overage rate. So overage rate, think of it in the perception that, so for example, there is a corporate, okay, say ABC Consulting, and they only want one car. Okay, so in this scenario, you are not going to charge them the entire amount, right? Which you charge for the entire tire from 1 to 10, right? You are only going to charge for some certain. This would not be fine that they are paying the same amount for first car versus the ninth car. Okay, so in this scenario, we have a concept known as overage rate. So overage rate, what you do is that there is an object block price, you create a field of type currency with the API name of overage rate underscore underscore C, and what will happen in this case is, okay, let's go and check what happens in this case. So this is copy of corporate car rental, where again we have this block prices. So in this scenario, if I'll click on edit. Okay, what will happen, let me select the agency rental. So if you notice that in the previous scenario, you will only have only one block. Okay, there will not be two blocks. So for 1 to 11, you were charging some 1000 rupees. Accordingly, from 1 to 10 basically. So 11 we write because it's plus 1. Okay, so 1 car to 10 car, it is 1000 rupees only in the previous example, to be clear. So in this scenario where we have created already the overage rate custom field, what will happen, these two boxes you will see. First box, listen to me carefully, first box represent the base quantity, like the base amount for that quantity, and second is per per quantity, which means that the first car being on rental will cost you 200 rupees. I know the rates are less, okay. And then for the rest further cars, say if you take two cars, so first car is 200 rupees and second car is 100 rupees. So a total of 300 rupees. Similarly, if it's five cars, first car is 200 rupees, next four cars is 100, 100, 100, 100, which means a total of 600 will be charged. So this way, if like we are sorted, right, the confusion related to if the user is only interested in one car or versus nine cars, they are not paying the same amount if we have the concept of overage rate. Okay, we are good over here. So in the quote line editor, if you will notice, this is the copy of corporate rental. How it looks is, so we have 15 cars right now. So for the first 11 quantities, if you notice, for the first 11 cars we are charging 1000, and then for each of the car we are charging, being on rent, we are charging rupees 90. So accordingly the calculation is happening for 1360. I hope we are good with the block type of pricing. Okay, then comes the second, which is the percent of total. Now take off it with an example. You bought the car and the company is charging you something for the delivery. Say whatever car you are purchasing, 1% of that amount costs the delivery or the taxes, whatever you want to take over here. Okay, so to make sure that a product is having a pricing type of percent of total, you need to mark it as percent of total in the pricing method. Okay, then what will happen is there are few fields that you should be aware about, that how you are going to configure. So in my delivery example, you will create two products, one with the delivery product, another with the product of car. Okay, so in this case, when you will add both of the products into the quote line editor, what will happen is that the amount of the whatever the say the car is of 1 lakh. Okay, so accordingly, if it's 1%, which is like 1000 rupees or whatever it is. Okay, so what will happen, you will be charging 1% of 1 lakh rupees as a delivery. Okay, so in this scenario, what do we mean by percent of total base? So which means you are charging based on the list price. How should be the percent of total of the parent, which is our car, versus the child, which is the dependent product, which is the delivery in our case. How the percent of total will be calculated, whether it should be based on the list price or on the net price, or how it should be. Sometimes it will happen that list price may be zero, because in case we are using a cost price method, right? So I hope this percent of total base is clear. Then comes the percent of total category. Percent of total category, which means that we are going to add which type of category. For example, say you are on the same quote, you are adding one car, one TV, and one delivery product. By default, the delivery will be calculated based on both the car and the TV. It will add all of the price, both of the prices, and take 1%. By default this will happen. To make sure that only relevant products are picked for calculating the percent of total of the delivery, you can create a pick list. Okay, of and you can have the value, say the value would be car. Okay, so accordingly you can set this value on the parent and on the child, so that same category is mapped. So when they both will be added into a quote where other products are also there, by default it will take the same product, it will ignore the other TV or fridge or whatever. Okay, then comes the percent of total constraint. For example, the delivery is costing you $100. Okay, but what happens is it is 1% of the car. So the car is costing really less in some scenario, and you want that the delivery should be at least $50. You don't want less than that. So in this scenario, you can mark the list price as minimum. So this field would be used in those scenarios. Percent of total target, this is one of those fields where you can directly attach your product, where accordingly in the quote line editor, when you will add your delivery product and your car product, so in the delivery product already the total target field will already contain the car product, so automatically it will create it will get the calculation based on whatever product you will add in the percent of total target. Include in point percentage of total and exclude in percentage of total. So there would be some products, sometimes it happens that we don't want them to be included or considered as a kind of parent for other products, which where they can be taken to calculate the percent of total, so we can mark check or uncheck accordingly. Okay, I hope we are good with the percent of total and the block concept. Let me know if you have any doubts related to the percent of total, because I think it was a bit complex topic. Let me know your questions or whatever doubts you feel like for improving this entire series. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.